Commander Zeke's mandibles clicked nervously as he stood before the Galactic Imperial War Council. The veteran Krillian officer had seen 3 centuries of combat across 40 star systems, but nothing had prepared him for what he witnessed on the human colony world of New Terra. Counselors, his translator device rendered his speech into perfect galactic standard. I implore you to reconsider the invasion of Earth. These humans, they are unlike any species we have encountered. The assembled representatives of the Galactic Empire's ruling races exchanged amused glances. High Chancellor Vortek, a towering Dravaxian with scales that shimmered like polished obsidian, leaned forward on his throne. Commander Zeke, your service record is impeccable, but surely you exaggerate. Humans are a young species, barely 2 centuries into space travel. They possess no plasma shielding. Their ships are primitive, and their population numbers are negligible compared to our forces. Zeke's 3 eyes dimmed with frustration. That is precisely what makes them dangerous, High Chancellor. They compensate for technological inferiority with something we have lost: adaptation and sheer, unrelenting will. The council chamber erupted in chittering laughter from the insectoid Vexel representatives. Will, scoffed Admiral. Will does not stop plasma beams. Will does not breach reinforced hull plating. Zeke's claws scraped against the stone floor. Then let me tell you about New Terra. The invasion of New Terra was supposed to be a simple compliance operation. The human colony had refused to pay imperial tribute, and the Empire had dispatched Zeke's battle group to enforce submission. 3 cruisers, 2,000 troops, overwhelming firepower. They expected surrender within hours. What they got was hell. The humans had converted their agricultural settlement into a fortress practically overnight. 2 soldiers in particular became legendary among Zeke's troops. A woman named Isla, and a man called Vance. Isla was a former Earth military engineer who had retired to New Terra to farm. When the Imperial ships appeared in orbit, she transformed irrigation systems into explosive traps, reprogrammed harvester drones into mobile gun platforms, and turned the colony's greenhouse network into a labyrinth of kill zones. Vance had been a wilderness guide before the invasion. He taught the colonists guerrilla tactics, showing them how to use the dense forests and cave systems to their advantage. Under his leadership, groups of farmers and scientists became phantom fighters who struck without warning and vanished like smoke. We lost 30 soldiers in the first day, Zeke told the council, his voice hollow with memory. Not to superior weapons, but to improvised explosives made from fertilizer. Human fertilizer. The first major assault on the colony's central hub had been a disaster. Zeke's troops advanced through what appeared to be empty streets, only to find themselves caught in a crossfire. Isla had positioned civilians, elderly humans, and even adolescents on rooftops with hunting rifles, while Vance led strike teams that hit their flanks. They used their young in combat, asked Councillor Mirith, her crystalline features reflecting shock. No, Zeke corrected. Their young volunteered. That is the difference. When we conscript soldiers, they serve out of duty or fear. Human children picked up weapons to protect their families because they chose to fight. The battle for New Terra dragged on for 3 months. Every building had to be cleared room by room. Every street was contested. The humans refused to surrender even when surrounded, even when wounded, even when facing certain death. Zeke remembered the day his troops finally cornered Isla in a collapsed communications tower. She was injured, bleeding from a plasma burn that would have incapacitated any galactic soldier. His troops called for her surrender in 17 different languages. She responded by detonating the charges she had planted throughout the structure, collapsing it on herself and taking 20 Imperial soldiers with her. They found her alive in the rubble 3 hours later, still clutching a detonator, ready to trigger secondary explosives if they came closer. Vance was captured during an ambush gone wrong. Zeke interrogated him personally, trying to understand what drove these humans to such extremes. Why do you resist? Zeke had asked. Your world is primitive. We offer you technology, stability, protection from hostile species. Why choose death over progress? Vance, despite broken ribs and burns covering half his body, had smiled. It was the most terrifying expression Zeke had ever witnessed. Because you asked us to kneel, Vance said simply, and humans don't kneel. Not to anyone. They never broke him. After 2 weeks, a human rescue team infiltrated the Imperial command ship and extracted Vance along with 30 other prisoners. The rescue team consisted of 7 humans. 7 they boarded a ship carrying 2,000 Imperial soldiers, freed the prisoners, and escaped. The Empire eventually withdrew from New Terra, declaring the colony more trouble than it was worth. But Zeke knew the truth. They had retreated because they were losing. That is why I warn you now, Ziegler continued, his voice rising. New Terra was a colony of 10,000 humans. Earth has 12 billion. If we invade their homeworld, we will not face soldiers. We will face an entire species that treats survival as a personal insult to the universe itself. High Chancellor Vortek drummed his claws thoughtfully. Your concern is noted, Commander. However, the Empire has never been deterred by spirited resistance. We will proceed with the invasion fleet as planned. The other councillors murmured their agreement. Ziegler bowed, knowing he had failed. Then, High Chancellor, I respectfully request reassignment to any front except Earth. Request denied. Your experience with humans makes you invaluable for the coming campaign. As Ziegler left the council chamber, he thought of Isla's defiant eyes in the rubble and Vance's terrible smile. He thought of the human saying he had learned, never corner something meaner than you. The Galactic Empire was about to corner Earth, and Ziegler knew, with absolute certainty, that humanity was far meaner than anyone in that council chamber could possibly imagine. The invasion fleet would launch in 30 days. Zek. Thor gave them 20 before they begged for retreat. He was wrong, it took 15.